Hi, this is Matt at Excel Grandmaster. Welcome to Function of the Week. This is a series of videos where I explain a function in just 5 minutes. As always, if you like this video, please take the time to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to get notifications of new videos. As always, Function of the Week is just an introduction to these functions, and I will cover the essentials. But I'll almost certainly cover them again in one of my regular videos, and also on a mini project video. Okay, so I've got an updated version of the exam results spreadsheet to use for this video. There's a link for you to download the spreadsheet in the description below. Now, without further ado, let's hit go on the function spinner and see what we're going to look at this time. Okay, average. I think that should be quite easy to cover, so I'll also look at AVERAGEIF. Let's start the clock. Go. To start with, what does the average function do? Well, it calculates the mean average of a group of numbers. Let's take a look at a couple of ways we can write that in cell C21. You'll notice I've left the space of one row, and you'll see why in a minute. In cell C21, I'll type equals, average, open brackets, and you can see from the tooltip that it wants to be passed a number. Now this can be an actual number, and let's see that. We'll put in 25, and then comma, and you can see it's expecting another number, so let's type 15, and we'll give it a third number, so comma, 18. Close the bracket and press enter. Okay, so it's returning 19.333333, which is the mean average of those three numbers. But of course, it can do more than that. It can accept a cell reference instead of the hard-coded number. So let's clear the cell and start again. Equals, average, open brackets, and then C8, C9, C10, then close bracket and enter. Right, so we're getting the average of cells C8, C9 and C10, and you can see we get the same answer, which is good because those cells contain those same values. Now let's change cell C10 and put in the value 20, and you can see the average value has updated too, which is great. You can also pass the average function a range. So once again, we'll clear the cell and in C21 type equals average, open bracket, and then select cells C8 to C19. You can see it's putting the range in the formula for me. I'll close the bracket and press enter. And there we have the average of all the marks in section 1 of the exam. Now the reason I have left the blank rows to show you how the average function handles having blank cells in a range. I'm going to update the range in the formula, changing C19 to C20. Okay, the average hasn't changed. The average function has ignored the blank row. Now if I put a 0 into cell C20, you can see it changes because 0 is a value, and removing it takes us back to where we were. Right, so let's now drag that formula across the other section results and the total mark. Selecting cell C21 and clicking and holding the square at the bottom right, I can drag it across and release, and you can see I now have all the averages. And because I left the formula including row 20, we can add another student. So I'll fill that in now, just making up a student ID and some results, and there we go. Our averages are all updated. Now if you've seen any of my other videos with this spreadsheet, you might notice that the format of the student ID has changed, and there's a new school column at the beginning, and that's going to be really helpful to show you AVERAGEIF. This also returns the mean average of a group of numbers, but it allows you to set a criteria that must be met for that number to be included. For example, suppose we wanted the average marks based on the school. Well, we can do that. I'll quickly create a list of schools over here in cells I8, I9 and I10. And I'm just going to average the total mark as we don't have a lot of time. In cell J8, I'm going to type equals AVERAGEIF, open brackets. And you can see from the tooltip that it needs a range, a criteria, and an optional average range. We use this when the range we need to check the criteria against isn't the one we want to average, and that will be the case for us. I'm going to select the range A8 to A20 and then a comma, that's where the schools are. For the criteria, I'm going to put quotes school 1, quotes, and then a comma, and then for the average range, I'm going to select F8 to F20, where the total marks are stored. Close the brackets and press enter, and there you go. You can see the average total mark for school 1, and you can check that with a calculator if you want. Now this is all okay. We only have 3 schools. But if we had 50 or 100 and we needed to do this for each of them, then we'd be here far too long. So instead of hard coding the school into the function, we're going to use the value in cell I8 to be our criteria. I'll change that now, and you can see the answer's the same, it's still working. Now, in order to get this formula for the other two schools, we need to change the references for the two ranges in that formula from relative to absolute. That way, when we use the fill down with the formula, the ranges will be unchanged. The easiest way to do this is to select the cell reference and press F4. You can see Excel puts in the dollar symbols that we need, and now I'll do that with the other cells we need to fix. You'll see I've left the reference to I8 because we do need that to change. So when we fill the formula down, it references the other schools. Right, so let's do that. Select cell J8, click on the little box here, hold it and drag it down. Looking at the formula, you can see the ranges have remained the same, but the criteria reference has changed, and we have the average total mark for each school. And there you go. Average, and as a bonus, AVERAGEIF. Don't forget, give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, goodbye.